Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Recovery Classroom. My name is Drew. I am alcoholic. Today, I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I cannot be any more grateful. It's Friday night. We have our Friday night crosstalk meeting tonight at 7 o'clock. If you are local to the Huntington, West Virginia area, come on down to 5747 East Pea Ridge Road in Huntington for what we like to call the quickest hour in recovery. It's not an AA meeting. It's not an NA meeting. It's just a group of drunks and drug addicts who all get together, talk shop about how we got sober, how we're planning on staying that way, and we also want to help the next newcomer coming into the room. So tonight at 7 o'clock at Pea Ridge United Methodist Church, we'll see you there. Also, you may have seen the video this morning. Deb left just this morning to go reconnect with her son, who she's not seen in 16 years. She lost custody of her son 16 years ago due to her addiction issues. So, and up until just about a few months ago is when the very first time she was able to reconnect with her son over the phone, and today she gets to go see him in person. So Deb, we're super excited for you, super proud of you. We love you. We're rooting you on, and I did ask her this morning to keep us posted, keep sharing updates with us throughout the day as things develop and evolve today on the Recovery Classroom. So I want to encourage you to check these videos out as she posted, because we're all going to be watching this miracle unfold in real time. How did Deb get this miracle? How did this miracle all come about? It all started with Deb being willing to make changes in her life. I heard that term willing and willingness in the rooms whenever I first came back in the rooms, and I couldn't quite understand what they were talking about whenever I'd hear the old timers talk about being willing and got to have willingness. I'd also hear things like this: nothing changes if nothing changes, or old keys won't open new doors. And I can never tie those two together. Until not too terribly long into my program, it became apparent. I had to be willing to entertain new ideas. I had to be willing to cast aside my old thoughts, my old ideas, and my old behavioral patterns. I had to be willing to set those on a shelf and try to develop new ones. I had to be willing to entertain and to listen to suggestions. And in some cases, I had to be willing to try to implement those suggestions. I also had to be willing to admit whenever I was wrong. I had to be willing to admit that maybe I interpreted information incorrectly and tried to apply it to my own life, like I could control my drinking. Maybe somebody just gave me bad information, or maybe I just created a false scenario in my head. I had to be able to admit whenever I was wrong. And at that point, I realized that those sayings, old keys won't open new doors, or nothing changes if nothing changes. If I'm not willing to change, then I'm never going to change. And I would always look back. I'd always revert back to my old ways of thinking, or my old ways of doing things once I'd get a little bit of sobriety time under my belt. I'd get clean and sober, I'd be doing good, and I would revert back to my old way of thinking. Well, I can go do this. Well, next thing you know, I'd look up and go, well, hell, how did I end up drunk again? How did I relapse? Nothing changes if nothing changes, but we have to be willing to change. Otherwise, we're going to keep repeating that cycle of insanity day in, day out. When something isn't working, in other words, if I'm trying to get sober, and I get sober, but then I end up relapsing, and I start over again. I'll get sober, and I get sober and doing good, and then I relapse. Obviously, I've not changed something in my life, and that's where willingness comes in. We have to be willing to listen to ideas and suggestions when people tell us, hey, maybe it's because of this that you keep relapsing. Maybe it's because of that, because you keep falling off the wagon. Maybe it's because your thought processes or your behaviors or your schedule. You have to be willing to listen and then willing to try to change it. That way I have a better chances of breaking that cycle of insanity. Willingness is imperative, especially in early sobriety, early recovery. You have to be willing to make those changes. Otherwise, you're going to be doing the same thing over and over again, yet expecting different results. We all know what that means, right? It's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's why we call it the cycle of insanity, all right? We would get sober for a little while, do good, and then we'd revert back to our old way of thinking. We would revert back to our old ideas and our old philosophies and our old behavior patterns. The next thing you know, we'd end up being drunk again. We have to be willing to change and to at least accept input and from those folks around us, those people, those like-minded individuals that are around us, because they're the ones that see what's going on from the outside. They're on the outside looking in, where it's harder for us sometimes on the inside trying to analyze and figure out what's going on with us. I want to encourage you. Find a group of like-minded people, start hanging around them, start listening to them, at least be willing to entertain that what they're telling you may have some merit. That in and of itself may be the difference, the deal maker in your own personal recovery. But I also want to leave you with this. once you get clean and sober and once you start doing good, you still have to continue being willing to change, even though you may have quite a bit of time of sobriety under your belt. And I'm saying that just to kind of plant a seed for some upcoming monologues that I'm going to be talking about. But at the end of the day, everything we do in life, in order to grow, change, and evolve, we have to be willing to do it. With that being said, I'm out of time. Thank you guys for letting me come in and share 5 to 10 minutes of your day with you. This, you guys absolutely keep me sober. I could not be any more appreciative. We'll be talking again soon, guys. Remember, you can't get drunk if you don't take that first drink.